Okay, hello everybody. So what is the argmin of a function? Okay, so the argmin of some function is the input p, so in the input space, which produces the smallest output value, f of p, which would be a real number. Okay, so that is the argmin. It comes from the fact that we sometimes call inputs arguments of a function. B. What is the minimum value of a function? The minimum value is just that real number output f of p from the argmin p. So in other words, the minimum value is f of p, where p is the argmin. So these are really connected. One of them is in the input space, the argmin. One of them is in the output space, the minimum value. Okay, now C. Explain how the three-dimensional picture relates to G from equation 1. So you'll be given this picture and this function, this map, G. Okay. So explain how it relates to, well, let's see. The blue surface is the graph of the map G. Meaning the blue surface is the set of all points in three-dimensional space of what form? X, comma y, comma g of xy. And this is all the points in three-dimensional space. An element of this means it lives in three-dimensional space. It's just a shorthand way to write that. Okay. So that takes care of how this picture relates to G. It's the graph. Now explain where the argmin and minimum value might be in the picture. So it looks like maybe here or here or here are the lowest point on that surface. Here the height is going up that way, and here's the xy plane sort of below. And these three red points, at least one of these points of lowest height, because in a graph, the value is the height depicted above the input space. This is how a graph works. The input space is here, and then the output space is that last coordinate, the height. And so one of these points of lowest height, it's hard to tell which one, is, or let's say it contains the argmin and the minimum value together. It contains both of them. So I have to explain that. If the point of lowest height is A, comma B, comma C, which would be obviously a three-dimensional point, this is a 3D picture, then P equals A, comma B is the argmin, and C, which is G of AB, is the minimum value. Okay. So for this very specific function, this happens to be the graph. And we can see the argmin and the min value. They're just these lowest points. There's these points at the valley of the function graph. And yeah, so that point is a three-dimensional point, but its first two coordinates are the argmin, and its last coordinate is actually g applied to the argmin, namely the output value c, a real number. Okay.